I had an ex-teammate of Kyrie's call me after that New York press conference, and one thing he said was that Kyrie Irving hates having his name and his future associated with somebody else. In other words, he doesn't want to hear that Kevin Durant is going to bring Kyrie Irving to New York or that Anthony Davis is going to keep Kyrie Irving in Boston. Kyrie Irving, as is shown by his decision to force his way out of Cleveland, he has proven time and again that he's his own man and he's going to make his own decisions. So that teammate thought that that was what sparked that reaction in New York. All that being said, while the Celtics have maintained a pretty good confidence that they're on the same page with Kyrie Irving, that they've treated this relationship as a partnership, they're not going to be certain of anything until Kyrie signs his name on that dotted line. That's why every time teams call for Terry Rozier, they're told, nope, not available. And teams have called about Terry Rozier.
So let me ask, so you and I talked last night, and you told me that the Celtics were not as devastated as a lot of people thought they would be with that press conference he did Friday, or the press avail, where he said, I don't know anyone bleep, where he said, ask me July 1st. But that therefore then means, if they weren't devastated by it, that while Celtics fans might have taken Kyrie's word as bond when he did the thing in TD Garden saying, I want my Raptors hung up there, the Celtics took it the way I did, which was, this is not a sure thing. Correct? The Celtics have never viewed Kyrie staying as a sure thing. That's the only reason they wouldn't have been devastated by him wavering, correct?
Absolutely. If you go back to when Kyrie made that statement in front of the season ticket holders, the reaction by Boston's front office after that was very muted. It was like, well, we're glad to hear that. They never said, looking forward to 5 more years of Kyrie Irving. They know it's going to take a lot. But, Nick, they have kept Kyrie in the loop. They have treated him like the franchise player in Boston that he is by keeping him in the loop on everything that they're thinking about doing, including potentially acquiring Anthony Davis.
Well, why would he change his mind? If they're treating him like the superstar and he came out and said, I'm going to do this, why would he have gone back on that and said the other things that he did?
It's been a frustrating season.
Yeah. Now, in talking to Kyrie's ex-teammate, did he give you the feeling he's going to stay there?
Didn't know. Didn't know.
And that's the constant theme with Kyrie Irving. They don't know if he's going to stay in Boston. And to me, it's going to have an effect on Anthony Davis. I don't know. You have a superstar who has been, I'm treating you the way that all superstars want to be treated. And I'm still not going to commit to you. And you think that AD, who doesn't even have you on the list, is now going to change his plan? I believe what's going on with Kyrie, just like what happened to IT, it affects these other players, and I believe it will affect Anthony Davis also.
And let me ask you another question. If the Celtics weren't, shell-shocked by Kyrie's comments, how concerned were they by the trade the Knicks pulled off? And the opening up 2 max salary spots in Kyrie's backyard.
I think that concerned them more than anything else that's happened over the last month, including whatever Anthony Davis's representatives are saying, the Celtics aren't overly concerned by it because they feel like they've got a line into Anthony Davis and they feel like eventually he would commit down the road. The Knicks, though, the Celtics have always known that the lure of Kyrie Irving to New York is real. Some guys don't want to play at home. Kevin Durant doesn't want to play at home. We've heard Anthony Davis doesn't really want to play at home.
Yes.
LeBron James did want to play at home. Embrace that. It's the same for Kyrie Irving. Northern New Jersey raised. The attraction to the Knicks is real. So it was fine when the Knicks were the gang that can't shoot strate, when they were just
had all those bad contracts.
The stumbling, bumbling franchise. But the Knicks with cap space, they're still kind of goofy. And maybe if they don't get the top overall pick, it might be a moot point. But the Knicks, with the ability to get Kevin Durant, with maybe the ability to have the #1 pick, that does concern Boston.
All right, so let's stay with the Boston Kyrie Anthony Davis angle for a moment. Let's say Kyrie leaves. If Kyrie leaves, do you think the Celtics would include Jason Tatum in a trade for Anthony Davis?
No.
Okay. So then I would ask you this. If Kyrie leaves, do you think the Celtics have legitimate assets to trump what the Lakers are offering now, absent of Jason Tatum in the deal?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you might say this. Can we put up 4 blind heads right here? There's 4 players. You can see it better on that screen, Mannix, if you want to look at it. I'm just curious. There's their points, rebounds, assists this year, and they all shoot right around the same percentage from the field. Can you just give me off the top of your head what you rank those players left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, if you would? Give me an idea. Is there one player that's clearly the best, one player that's clearly the worst?
No, because you want me to base this on numbers when one player is playing for a contender and three other players are playing for one that's not.
Okay, so you think there's only one player playing for a contender. That's interesting. Show me who those people are, if you would. Oh. So there's one. So I'm just curious. Now that once we remove the allure of these guys, because I thought the guy on the last spot was pretty clearly statistically the worst. And he also shoots the lowest percentage, if that matters. I know I didn't have room for the percentages on there. And now I think Tatum's the best asset. I think his numbers are depressed, obviously, by the fact that Kyrie's there, all those things. But
I think he's depressed by that graphic.
Well, I'm not at all, because the numbers also don't show the last month and a half for Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown went from being a 35-minute-per-game starter on a conference finals team to a guy that was shoved to the bench in like mid-November or late November. It takes an adjustment. You think that Jaylen Brown, if he was put in the Lakers, wouldn't be putting up the same type of numbers as Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma?
No, I don't.
Oh, come on.
I don't think Jaylen Brown's a great offensive player.
I don't think he's a great offensive player, but I don't think Ingram or Kuzma are great offensive players either.
Okay, one more question on these great young Celtics. Aside from Tatum, who we all agree is a really valuable piece, but you said if Kyrie leaves, Tatum's not available. Who do you think's the best coach in basketball not named Greg Popovich? Is it not Brad Stevens? I feel like that's...
He's up there.
He's up there.
5.
Okay, he's one of...
I believe Eric Spoelstra put him up.
Okay, fine, but one of the best coaches, and one of the best at getting the most out of young players.
Has proven to be, yes.
What do you think Tatum and Brown, we would think of them if they had been developing under Luke Walton? And what do you think we would think of either Kuzma or Ingram or Lonzo or any of them if they'd been developing under the young genius Brad Stevens, and how that affects what their value is? Because unless I'm wrong, Danny's not going to include Brad Stevens in the trade, right?
He is
Brad
not.
Stevens not available.
He did that once, too, Doc Rivers.
Right.
And the two previous examples, Julius Randle, he left, goes to the Pelicans. He's playing better ball. And D'Angelo Russell in Brooklyn
leaves is playing way better.
You're right, but okay, we're going to really...
I'm just curious.
I mean, D'Angelo Russell had a
I'll just say this. I'll just say this. Let me put my basketball. I'll put my basketball. If I'm developing young players, I would much rather them be developing in Boston than I would in L.A. You don't have to say that. Right. So the young players in L.A., if they had been with Brad Stevens, we all would think they would be better. Right. We got more confidence in Brad as a coach.
I think they would be better. The flip side of that argument is that they got significantly more opportunity, minutes, shots, playing in Los Angeles, which increased their numbers.
What about the young kids in Boston? Those minutes they got in the playoffs with those guys being injured.
Oh yeah, if you want to,
you don't think that boosted them, because we wouldn't have known.
The last 2 months of the year, basically March when Kyrie went out and those guys all started to get 30-plus minutes, that's a good sample size for that. But that graphic, come on.
Well, listen, I don't create the numbers.
Can we get Jaylen Brown's last month and a half numbers?
But he's not. But the season's not just a month and a half. One for one. Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram. Who's the more valuable piece?
I would take Brandon Ingram, but I think it's close.
Okay, one for one. Lonzo Ball, Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
Kyle Kuzma, Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
Okay. All right. Defensive Player of the Year coming must be, because he's not a very good offensive player.
He's been a lot better offensively.
Well, because he was averaging 7 points a game, man. Like, of course he's going to be better. He was terrible.
He was not averaging 7 points a game.
Okay,
I think his three-point shooting in January was 44, 45%, something like that. He's been a lot better. Is he not the player you saw in the playoffs? Like, what was the player you saw in the playoffs?
I don't know. My last memory was him going 0 for Game 7, and they lost. It was my last memory.
First Game 7 against LeBron.
Nick Wright or Jaylen Brown? Okay. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.